Hi, it's Jam. I had a request to try better to make it so that you can actually see the cards. I wish that I had one of those, like stands for a camera, but I have not had the money to invest into that. I know that you can get them fairly cheap. I literally haven't had any extra money to invest into that. So, I'm going to be using my pink tarot deck, and this is the first time that I'm shuffling them since I recalibrated them. But I'm going to see if maybe this setup will be sufficient. The reason that I don't generally do this is because it takes like setting up a whole bunch of random things in a very precarious way in order to get it to film. And that just always seems to, then I have to be very cautious as to not knock everything over. So we'll see if this works. I don't know, but this is what I'm trying to do. I also was considering doing a live, but maybe I will start doing that tomorrow. So if you happen to be watching this, you can start looking for lives. Feel free to hop on anytime I happen to be on a live. We can chit chat, but I think I want to see how it works with the algorithm to potentially draw things in a different way. See, it's hard because like even that whole time I'm shuffling, you're not able to see. It's still set pretty far forward. Well, we'll just do our best. Okay, so let's get cards. Any more? Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. I have two. This one also came. This one that flipped all the way over here is face down, so I'm going to leave that face down. Put these like this. What do we got? 4 or 5. So in the request to be able to see the cards, the point was because it interests some people to see how I'm pulling the cards, how they're coming out, and how I'm making spreads specifically. Yes, each spread that I do is really determinate on however the cards come out, whatever I'm feeling at that point in time. I don't have any, I don't ever follow a traditional spread. I let them kind of speak for themselves. I did a reading for a friend yesterday and realized that I need to do a little more work in order to give more tangible readings. It's great to have ones that are based on so much emotionality and spirituality, but I would like to have ones where people can ask direct questions and I can give direct answers. It's a little harder that way because that really actually gets into tarot in a way that I don't do it. Generally, all of my readings are just oracle readings. I hate feeling like, I hate repeating myself, so like there's a number of videos where I've kind of explained these different things, but I don't in every video, and that is, something that I probably should do more often, whether I like it or not, just because it's helpful, and I don't expect that everybody's going to be watching every single video. But yeah, generally speaking, I don't actually do tarot readings as much as I do oracle readings, and that kind of gives me the freedom to communicate things on a deeper emotional, spiritual level. I'm not really one to like, normally if somebody asks what is going on with my job, what's going on in my relationships, Am I going to find love soon? Am I going to make money this way? Like, what are these types of things? Like, that's not what I do. That's simply that's just not what I do. I would like to be able to offer those things to some degree, not necessarily to offer them in the way where people can ask more direct questions and I can give more direct answers necessarily, but that when I'm communicating with specific people or when there's specific messages, I can be more tangible with them. If there is really a message that somebody may be moving or that some large change is coming or that somebody may be getting sick or passing, anything like that, like if those energies happen to be there, I'm fine picking up on them and expressing them. But generally speaking, like, I really don't like giving in to those type of energies because it is just a whole nother realm. It's just a whole nother realm of divination that I just do not generally engage with. So that's why my readings are as such. They're oracle readings. I just happen to use tarot cards because I know the tarot and it makes it easier for my ADHD to stay on point with them. Also because I'm such a visual person and to have preset symbols and sort of pictures, presets, symbols is very helpful for me when it comes to certain messages. The reason I have different types of tarot is because that way I'm not just limited in the messages that I'm able to bring, but I also can do oracle off of basically anything. If somebody were to bring me something personal of theirs, I could do an oracle off of that. I generally like using multiple things so that I can kind of get in a more engaging reading. It tends to be a little more difficult to read off of something basic, but honestly, like, maybe I should try to do that a few times just so that people get the idea really of what it is that I do and am capable of doing. I'm thinking like this lighter, for instance, like I could easily do an oracle off of this single lighter. So that's where my spiritual practice and gifts are. It's in being able to cultivate these deeper psychological, emotional, personal concepts. I just happen to use tarot cards because it makes it a little easier for other people to visualize those things, for me to kind of communicate these messages. And there's certain symbols that like I can point out and point others to, and then they can see that and take from it themselves. Hopefully that makes more sense. Okay, so this is the first reading that I'm doing ever since calibrating all my cards. So none of these have been interacted with yet. And this is the first time I'm interacting with these, just to make that clear. And generally I have no idea what we're going to be talking about until I go into it, unless I have something very specific to talk about. But I do not this time. So this was the way that I was told to put the cards. No reason in specific. It just kind of happened that this is the way that they came out. And this is just what I don't put much thought into certain parts of the reading. Really, most of it's about kind of removing myself from a super conscientiousness and moving into my consciousness in of itself in an energetic form in order to be able to give the most energetically aligned messages, where it's not really about my personal opinion about things. Many of the readings end up being just as much for me as they could be for anyone else, in that way, because it's just me kind of, it's spirit, it's my guides, it's, the entities and energies that are in higher realms, working for my greatest good and highest purpose, and highest power, as much as anyone else's, just kind of using my voice to speak through me. It is not something I would sit there and claim like I'm so great at anything like that. So generally what I'm doing when I'm doing these readings is kind of turning myself off and opening myself up to channeling these things. But I as a spiritual practice. Like, I'm not just opening myself up to channeling anyone and anything. I channel very specific things, and that's where my spiritual work comes into play. Okay, so now that I've explained all of that, the way I am going to read this is this card first. These cards are going to clarify. We'll start there because I don't know what we're going to do from there. Okay, so the first card that we have out is Temperance in reverse. And as I've been talking, I haven't been reading any of the cards or looking at them, and I wasn't necessarily even recognizing this as Temperance. I was kind of glancing at the images, but wasn't really reading them at all. As I kept glancing, though, that entire time I was talking, I kept noticing this crown right here, which in the normal Rider-Waite, this is basically the same image. These ones are a little bit more basic, where like they were obviously kind of just copied, and then some of the lines are super like, they're not as detailed, but this is a very, like I haven't noticed that in this deck before, but this is like a specific change that isn't in the Rider-Waite Tarot. It's an actual sun in the Rider-Waite, but here it's a crown. I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see that. So that's the one thing that I was noticing. In the reverse, we could potentially be talking about things being slightly chaotic, but I don't think that's not the message that I'm getting, because if that were the case, then it would be about the need for temperance through the fact that things are chaotic. So what I'm actually getting from this more is this sense of peace than even, it's interesting, like normally the Temperance card in the upright would be denoting finding that peace and that balance and that patience within yourself despite anything else. And generally, the assumption would be that the reason that that's being called on is because things might not in the in your day-to-day experience or in the current experience be full of, it might not be easy necessarily. So it's kind of almost like a reminder to be patient despite these things. It's almost like a despite those things. I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that message. I'm getting almost this idea of like the calm before the storm, which I've talked about before, but I'm getting this idea of like we have the waters here and they're still waters. And it's this idea of like, yeah, I just saw it in a movie where it was like, do you hear that? And they're like, no. And he was like, exactly. It's too quiet. We should be hearing like little animals and stuff, but since we're not hearing anything, it makes me think that there must be a much larger predator around. Okay, so it's peaceful. It's peaceful right now as a reminder to gain your balance for whatever is about to come. And it's kind of like keeping your head about you and not just being patient, because sometimes temperance, like this balancing back and forth, like is really the energy in of itself is kind of a removed energy where it's like, be patient, like don't worry about it right now. Don't get too anxious. Don't over involve yourself. Like just be patient. Temperate, right? Like we're tempering. In the reverse, it's like I'm getting this energy of like, keep your wits about you. Keep your head on your shoulders. Don't just fall for anything sort of deal. Especially because we're moving into something else. I can't necessarily say that it's going to be something like chaotic or crazy or anything like that, but it is going to be something that's going to be requiring our sense of selves. And really, like, I just keep seeing, like, with this crown and with the angel itself also having the rays, like, likely what we're moving into is that abundance that I've been talking about for such a long time, and that anybody who's been in this energy has been feeling and been patiently waiting on, well, at least attempting to be patient while waiting on. It's this idea that like the crown is coming, it's just over the bend, but you have to be in alignment with that in order to be able to receive it properly. So, like, get yourself into order in these types of ways. Make sure that these things are balanced, yes, but not just being patient and waiting on these things. Like, literally move yourself into alignment with these things. It's so weird because as I'm saying that, I got this like weird frog in my throat just as I started saying that. Anyways, okay, well, so this card, this Temperance in the reverse, is being clarified by the Five of Swords and the Sun card in the reverse, both in the reverse. Now, the Five of Swords for me in the upright has this feeling of defeat, but like defeating others. It's a feeling of victory. It's a feeling of almost like a little bit of pride and like arrogance. We've defeated these others. We have their weapons now. They're walking away, you know, all solemn and feeling defeated. And we're confident. We're feeling confident having taken those things from them. But how is my storage already? I don't think I deleted a video properly. All right, this is going to have to be a 2-part message. I apologize. So I'll just finish this card and then we'll go into the Sun. In the reverse, I'm getting this idea of a reminder to not be arrogant, but also to, mostly not to be arrogant. Again, it's kind of this caution, this stay level-headed, you know, don't move too quickly, don't move too slowly. Keep moving forward, but be aware of your surroundings, because it's almost like this guy like sees like that he's defeated these people and that he has these swords, but I'm just getting this energy of like there's something coming up behind that is not necessarily expected and may throw one for a loop. So like I'm just getting this cautious energy when it comes to these two cards. Being self-aware, focusing, being in alignment and focusing on the positive and on the reward and on the abundance and what we're already expecting to come through, but not being too arrogant that you don't necessarily recognize what's going on around you. And maybe even that's just in part to like take your time to smell the roses, make sure that you're appreciating things as you have them, because you're only going to have them for a short time and then they're going to be gone. Things are going to be moving very quickly and it may all be positive, but it doesn't matter how positive things are if you're not taking the time to properly appreciate things. And like maybe that's where the Sun card is coming in too. If you're not taking the time to properly appreciate things and be positive about all of these even seemingly little things, all of these things will pass underneath you without, or behind you without you even like noticing them, you know? And then you'll be like, why am I not happy? Well, it's not because the universe hasn't been giving you things to be happy about. It's because you haven't been taking the time to be happy with the things that the universe has been gifting you. So that's kind of the caution that I'm getting here. Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to make this a part 1, and then I'm going to have to get back to a part 2. So I will see you in just a bit.